from the matrix system, which was globally circulated and celebrated by the global head. Less than 6 months in the role, I was on a plane being asked to transform the team in Oman. And within the same year, not only me, but including my own team, we were the focal point in the region to aid our peers in units in Qatar, Jordan, and Oman. Within a year, no fail audits, no critical findings and peer reviews, and I was appointed as the lead operational risk committee in the Middle East and North Africa for corporate services. Now, with all of that, how did I transform it from day one to day 90? The vision was to have a systematic synergy within the team, processes, stakeholders, and shareholders. To set the team on autopilot with minimal interventions by myself, which would allow me to lead for a bigger agenda, not only to bury myself on the day-to-day. So to break it down on how did I do it? First was the discovery. The most fundamental element to be while in discovery mode is to be completely neutral. I was not attached to anything during that phase. No team, no emotions, no KPIs, not even the challenges or even the successes. I needed to be completely open and welcoming of everything and anything. So how did I do the discovery part? I was studying the processes, procedures, and global standards. I was literally studying with my entire kit. I always have an obsession with stationery. So you will see all the colors and all the pens and everywhere. So I was studying the processes so vividly because I didn't have any information about them. I had one-on-one meeting with each team member. I only asked powerful questions and listened. No judgment, no opinion, no justifications. I had a discovery meeting with all stakeholders, including unit heads, regional heads, and corporate clients. I'm a telecommunication engineer, so engineering taught me that the smaller wiring between the units were more significant than the apparent larger ones because it impacted the quality and flow of any device. Hence, I had to meet with those who deal with the team directly, not only the managers, but the tellers, assistant relationship managers, operational critics, because these are the maker and shakers of the entire business, and compliance officers and so on. During that discovery meeting that I had, the most fundamental question which I was asking was, what do you need from us to make your job better? It was not about, oh, what are the problems you have? It was, what do you need from us to make your job better? Needless to say, everyone knew the answer, and usually people do, and seldom act on it. So the setup and the plan, so prior to putting a full-fledged plan for the entire team, I needed a deeper understanding of who I am and how I needed to be while being on charge and change and transfer the situation. Having sounding boards, trusted leadership, and coaching aided me in that quest. The plan was formulated according to all what has been discovered, and it had a synergy approach to it. The third pillar is the hire and the fire. No one can or should understand the anatomy of the team like the one who is leading it. Hire and fire does not only mean hiring and firing people completely. However, it also means hiring talents and firing habits within people in the team, aimed to streamline what needs to be done to meet the business objectives. From the team, I broke down the complete list and tasks, clouded them randomly on a whiteboard, again, my stationary fascination, and asked the team which ones they would not only pick, but completely own. And that allowed the capital investment on their talents and also shattered any head-to-head rivalry between the two seniors I had. And then the process re-engineering and gap analysis, which was automation of top 10 tasks, inquiry reduction, manual monthly reporting. They used to have 7 reports, and they used to spend 3 days from the same raw data creating 7 reports. So a simple Excel merging, it was able to be done in less than 3 hours. The sign off, which was the last pillar. Like for every process, there had to be an alignment within the entire team to vote the best way forward. I didn't want to be on my own plane while they are going to a different destination. We needed to be all on board in the same alliance. Team rotation, daily team huddles. We jokingly call them huggles. Casual conversations, sharing best practices, ongoing one-on-one meeting, and ownership. And that set on the team on autopilot. And instead of micromanaging each task, they were empowered and delegated to handle elevated tasks. Subsequently, it marked Bahrain team the leading in the region. The crucial point to voice out. The team did not lack any talent, nor was it in any way inadequate. It had all the potential, but not the synergy. In conclusion, that call ventured me into finding my business calling, which is enabling leaders to evoke transformations within their teams, which I am confident of because coming from corporate business and being passionate about coaching, I know that only business understands business. And this is what I know deliver for teams across the world. And that was the successful journey of what seems to be a career fatal call. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Ahlam. We will go to our second speaker now. All right. So he is a member of the founding team of Consolidion. After hundreds of conversations with clients and consulting industry experts, they have developed a model which they believe is the future of consulting. Speaking on ecosystems in business, let us all welcome Varun Malik.
Thank you so much, Ahlam, and welcome everyone. I'm going to be talking about Consolidon, an ecosystem of boutique consulting firms that we've set up about 4 years back now. I'm going to be focusing on building an ecosystem around yourself and how important it is for any small business to do that in order to survive and thrive in these times. So let me start by talking first about the business model itself, okay, and the reason for why you need to collaborate with others, okay. And this applies to any industry. It doesn't have to be just for small consulting firms, right? So it could apply to small law firms, coaching firms. It could apply to governance, risk and compliance firms, and so on. It could also apply to e-commerce businesses and so on, okay. So essentially, the big problem that we saw was faced by clients across the region was that whenever they had a certain problem or they had an opportunity that they needed to take advantage of, they would go to the same kinds of companies. They would go to a PwC or a KPMG or a McKinsey or a BCG or a Bain. And most of the time, it would be a partner who would come and bring in an opportunity and have a conversation with the client. The partner would have a conversation with the client, a director and a senior group of people would go and sell the project to the client. When the delivery was, when it came to the delivery of the project, the delivery was left to junior consultants, people with maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years of experience, and who might not have had the wisdom to wisdom to actually help the client get out of that problem or to take full advantage of that opportunity which they'd hired the firm for. Okay. On the other hand, there are a lot of boutique consulting firms across the globe, right? By our count, there are more than 1 million small consulting firms across the globe. that most of them have around 20-25 years of experience in a certain industry. So they've worked, let's say, in the chemicals industry, and then they leave their full-time job and become a consultant for the chemicals industry, right? Or many of them have experience in these large firms, McKinsey, PwC, KPMG, etc., and then have left and set up their own consulting firm. Most of the time, the person who goes and sells the project also then goes and delivers the project, and which is great value for a client, because at the end of the day, that's what they were looking for. Okay. There was a problem, however, right? It is a little bit difficult to trust a small consulting firm with a large opportunity, a large project, right? And from the boutique consulting firm side, it's very difficult to compete with a big brand name like a McKinsey, BCG, Bain, PwC, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, etc. Right? These are household names and very trusted brands. Even though, and many of them are riding on the brand, right? Even they're the model, they have a pyramid model, right? And they only survive if the partner goes and sells a consulting project, a director goes and sells it, and the juniors deliver. Otherwise, their model will not survive, but they're sort of still surviving because of the brand name, even though it's junior consultants delivering projects. So it became very difficult for boutique consulting firms to compete with them. So what we decided to do was get many small consulting firms into one larger brand called Consolidon. Okay. And these boutique consulting firms join us for a few reasons. Okay. One reason that they join us is because we can help them take advantage of economies of scale. So what we do is we set up business development teams across the region, which then bring opportunities to these boutique firms. So we have about 350 boutique firms that collaborate in our ecosystem. And it's very difficult for one boutique firm to set up a business development team in Riyadh, in Bahrain, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, etc. But for us, it makes a lot of sense to set up these business development teams, right? So one advantage of boutique firms collaborating in this manner is that they get access to these business development teams. But that's not the only thing. When you put a 350 boutique firms in one sort of ecosystem, there are a few things that you can do to create magic, right? And that magic is essentially collaboration between boutique firms, right? So whenever there is an opportunity which cannot be delivered by one boutique firm alone, right? When let's say it's a cross-functional opportunity, you can get 3 or 4 boutique firms to collaborate and deliver a much larger project than either of them could have delivered alone. Okay. The second thing that we do is we facilitate cross-selling between boutique firms. So when there's one boutique firm that sees an opportunity, let's say a loyalty program design, right? So, and let's say it's an HR consulting firm. A loyalty program design is irrelevant. That opportunity is irrelevant for them. But when they bring it to us, we can easily send it to a loyalty program design firm that can go in and deliver that. And that's an actual life example, right? And then the loyalty program design firm can bring an IT consulting opportunity. An IT consulting firm can bring an analytics opportunity, and so on, right? So you can cross-sell to other people in an ecosystem. Then is talent. A lot of the times boutique firms are run by one person firm. It's a one-person firm. So that person, when we help them win a project, which is a $200,000, $250,000 project, which needs to be delivered in 3 or 4 months, they cannot deliver it alone. So what they do is they come to us and they borrow consultants from other boutique firms in the ecosystem so that they can deliver that project easily, right? Or if they lack expertise, a specific expertise, they can borrow someone who has expertise from another firm. So that's the ecosystem we've created. We've over the last 4 years, we've had about 900 opportunities we've passed on to these boutique consulting firms. We've won more than 200 projects now over the last 3 years since we started client operations. And that's the power of what you can do when players from one industry come together and uh, you know collaborate to deliver larger things than one can deliver alone. Um, we've recently started acceleration programs for these boutique firms where essentially what we do is our business development teams, rather than just keeping their eyes and ears open for opportunities for them, run very accelerated um, uh, programs for these boutique firms. Essentially what we do is and out of the 350 boutique firms in our ecosystem, about 70 of them are now on acceleration programs, where essentially what we do is set up an annual revenue target with them, right? So we take one firm, we say that our annual revenue target together is 1 million dirhams as an example. And to create that 1 million dirhams, we need to, submit uh, or we need to win 4 clients of 250,000 dirhams each. To submit or win 4 projects, 4 clients of 250,000 dirhams each, we need to submit about 12 or 13 proposals. But what do you need to do to come to that place where you can submit those 12 or 13 proposals, right? And then we have a very comprehensive program for them where we help them connect with partners in our ecosystem who can help them meet clients to submit those proposals. We connect them with clients directly through various sales mechanisms. We get them to collaborate in networking clubs with law. So a consulting firm can collaborate with a law firm and an accounting firm, and a governance, risk and compliance firm and a coach, for example. If they have the same target audience, they can um, sort of all work together to meet each other's clients and so on. So we've set up these acceleration programs. I think to survive during these difficult times and to sort of thrive beyond, every small business needs to go and either join an ecosystem like this, and there are ecosystems available in almost every industry, uh, and or if there is no ecosystem like that, then you should create an ecosystem, which is what we did, right? I mean, my initial plan was also to set up a boutique consulting firm, but then when I realized that there is no ecosystem for boutique consulting firms, we said, why don't we go ahead and create such an ecosystem, which is what we've done over the last 4 years. It's a lot of hard work to do that, but it starts paying off at some point once you cross a certain threshold. So that's a little bit about Consolidon and the importance of creating ecosystems around yourself. And I'd love to connect with any one of you who would be interested in learning more on how to create an ecosystem around yourself, or in joining an ecosystem, or finding an ecosystem that is suitable for your organization. And with that, I hand back to Ahlam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Varun. As he mentioned, like if you need to connect with him in any way, just send us a message and we will be communicating. All right, so our third speaker for today, he is a certified life coach and NLP practitioner with a reputation among peers, client executives, and managers as trusted subject matter experts with demonstrated knowledge in world-class customer service initiatives, call center operations, continuous process improvement, and quality measurement process. He is speaking with us today about why we need positive leadership now and in the future. May we all welcome Alan Gammon. Mike is yours.
Good morning. How are you all? Thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to speak to you all this morning. Now, I'm just taking forward a little bit about what my colleagues have previously said. What I'm going to do is some visual aids. So sometimes when we're talking about the subject of leadership, having the visual aid actually helps people put together the actual thought process behind the words and helps them understand a little bit about leadership and how it works. So I'm going to share a screen with you and hopefully a presentation will shortly commence. So why we need positive leadership now? It's all around planning, strategy, the goals, the leadership, the idea, and of course that leads on to the success. The workplace is shifting. There's currently, in the environment that we're all facing, there's reduced job security. There's virtual and isolated working, very new for many people. They've never experienced this before. They're used to going to an office and being with their colleagues. So it's completely a new way of working for them. There's worldwide uncertainty with COVID, the changes in leadership around the globe. All of this creates a level of stress and uncertainty for individuals and for management and businesses. Loss of loyalty, morale, as people see jobs going, there's redundancies, companies are realigning their workforce, looking at how they operate, what's actually happening within their own business, and what's happening with the competition and how they're operating. Employee spending and cutbacks, it's impacting on them hugely. I mean, many people have been asked to take reduced salaries, reduced working hours, and all of these things are absolutely impacting on the way the workplace is actually operating. So if we look at some positive leadership traits and things that will actually help minimize the stress to the business, your clients, and of course, your employees, which at the end of the day, no business survives without the employees being right behind you in all the things that need to change in order to operate the business to go forward, to maintain your existing client base, and of course, to attract new business. Leaders need to make sure they're energizing their network, reach out, touch, go back to people that you've met before, that you've had dialogue with. Maybe it was just a quick conversation. Go back, see where they're at. How can you help them do what they need to do? Use a sense of positive emotions, interpersonal flourishing, basically using your own skill set and listening to others. And the listening is so important in all aspects. What is happening with your clients? What is happening with your suppliers? How are your staff getting to feel that they are listened to during this very difficult time? Because the stresses on them are just as high as they are for the leaders that are actually trying to manage the business. We need to energize your networks and, of course, thrive at work. So some of the things around that: elevate the individuals and the organizations to find out what actually challenges them, what is going well, and as important, what is going wrong. Sorry, a little technical issue there for a moment. Just bear with me for a second. What is life-giving? And what is problematic and deleting you from doing what you need to achieve? What is a good experience? What is objectionable? What is extraordinary and what is merely effective? What is inspiring and what is difficult? These are some of the key answers and key questions that the leaders need to consider when talking about their business as it currently stands, how it was pre-COVID, and how they see the future being as they move forward into the new era of how business is done. Will people travel still? Or will things become the norm to operate through platforms like Zoom? It's going to change the way people work. Leaders have to believe in their own narrative. They have to think about skepticism and cynicism. Reluctance to hear other voices can lead to artificial happiness, delusion. Excessively positive thinking, when you're saying everything is marvelous, everything is good, everything is great, is absolutely disastrous in terms of long-term outcomes. It's not Prozac. You can't take a pill to fix this. You have to talk from your heart, be honest, be open, and above all, listen to what is being said to you. So some of the positive leadership qualities that we look for in our leaders and managers, and leaders form very many different parts of an organization. It's not just the senior executive team. It is also, of course, the people that are actually on the ground managing the individuals. We want to ensure that you enable extraordinary performance. You create a positive work climate. You foster positive relationships, strong communication that develop individual strengths and team strengths, giving positive meaning to working together. And some of the benefits that lead on from all of the things that were highlighted before lead to the leadership of tomorrow. If you can attain these behaviors, these will help you and your organization become a market leader in the sector in which you operate. It's all about getting your organization to flourish, build community and trust, attain the profitability goals and your margins that you're looking for, reinforce your strengths, build on those relationships with your suppliers. They're going through tough times too. Also build on your relationships with your customers. What is working for them? What is not working for them? How can you work better together? And of course, this all starts with your initial team. As Alan said when she first started the presentation today, it really is about talking to everybody in the company. You can't do all of it, but you could do samples when you're working in a large organization. Talk to some of the drivers, the suppliers, the delivery boys, the nail guys. You'll have a better understanding of what's happening in your own business, as they have a complete take on what's going on in a completely different way that often the leaders do. You need to increase your visibility. Now, visibility, with all the changes that have been made through technology, do enable you to actually speak to your people through multimedia methods. This increases well-being of your staff because they actually feel that you care, you listen to them. And you connect the human values, which all about what people actually want to see when they're dealing with a company and an organization. If you can get all of these things in a tangible thought process, your team will work with you. And if you do that, your customers will come with you, and this will give you the growth that you actually need. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Alan, for also giving us another dimension of infographics. That was very interesting. So thank you very much. And as always, if you need to have any one-on-one conversations with Alan, we can always arrange that. All right, our fourth speaker of today is an organizational behavior leadership, learning and development subject matter expert with over 7 years of experience in talent development, instructions, training needs analysis, employee engagement, training design, facilitations, and employee motivation for highly recognized organizations in the UAE. Okay, so I would invite, if I'm saying the name wrong, please correct me. It's Cenk Saniorek to talk about values that makes or breaks the team.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. It's been wonderful so far. Yes, you're very correct with my name also, Ahlam. So I would like to pose a question, everyone. Have you ever thought that your work would be so much easier if you didn't have to work with people? I mean, I can already picture people raising their hands. People problems always exist out there. And let's take it one step further. Do you also experience that misunderstandings and issues with other people, even providing more information, they're not actually being solved, but differences are getting sharpened? Let's take it one step further. Do you ever feel frustrated at work that your needs, your values, your ideas differ from the others around you? And it doesn't matter how hard you try, there's no clear way that you can build bridges and you can settle disputes between people? Probably we all experience at some stage of our lives. So you may think that these problems you're facing at work related to misunderstandings, well, most importantly, ineffective communication. Well, there can be much more than that. So we call this type of miscommunication, not getting it right type of miscommunications. So research showed us that we experience these kind of not getting it right type of problems with people when we have incompatible values with other people. And for instance, if we share an example, savers and spenders. Some people, they just enjoy saving. Some people, they enjoy spending. So they both view themselves differently from how they view each other. Savers think of themselves as frugal and smart, but spenders criticize them as being tightwads. In contrast, if we ask the spenders, they think of themselves as being deserving of good things, but savers criticize them by being irresponsible and wasteful. So both, they don't get it. So there are actually more than that. But due to time limitations, let's park not getting it type kind of problems here. And let's take a look at what science tells us about how we connect with people and with others. Well, interestingly, a lot of people, they will find this familiar. The study of physics taught us something called law of attraction. The opposites attract. So however, unfortunately, in social sciences, it doesn't work like that. So opposing ends, actually, the opposites, they tend to quarrel, they tend to argue. And in reality, what happens is that birds of a feather flock together. So people tend to form groups and enjoy hanging out with others who have similar interests, tastes, and most importantly, values. Think about yourselves. Would you go to gym with someone who hates exercising? Would you go with someone who doesn't enjoy socializing? Probably not really. So let's shift our attention from individuals to teams. Why some teams are more successful than some others? What criteria or attributes are needed for the teams to be more effective out there? So probably we can list many variables that can significantly contribute to the success stories of teams. And without a doubt, there is one key ingredient that stands out, probably most of you would agree, which makes or breaks teams. It is the set of values that team members share or differ with each other. What are values and why are they so important? So we ask this question to ourselves. We hear every day, we walk into organizations, they got values on the wall. Human, unfortunately, we don't walk around with our values printed on our foreheads. However, let's just define this before we go forward, what happens with the interactions and the dynamic processes within the team. Many researchers define the values as abstract, desirable goals that are relatively stable over time and across situations. They serve people as guiding principles that dictate behavior and actions. Therefore, there's a correlation between values and behavior. So if you watch somebody really carefully, how they act, how they behave, you could probably figure out what their values, what their currencies are. If you know their values, and it will be easier to understand or predict how they're going to behave in certain situations. For instance, some people regularly show kindness to others, where others react aggressively, even to minor provocations. Your values affect not only how you react to people at work, but also how you react to work itself. Some people consider they work mainly as a means to achieve personal success, whereas others consider it as a means to contribute to society or an opportunity for self-fulfillment. So it is important to pay attention to these little details, because what we say at Truvian Partners, people matter to us. If it matters to them, it matters to us because they matter to us. So let's take a look at how values play in teams and how they interact. So the compatibilities and conflicts of people's values create a dynamic structure within the team. Compatibility, it has been argued that the teams with members who carry similar values will be more comfortable with each other's interpersonal interactions, thereby generating more cooperation, trust, social integration, cohesion. This turns out positive influencing the group outcomes. The incompatibilities of the values, on the other hand, constantly creates friction within the team, and they challenge each other. Their reactions to minor disputes can be severe, that leads into serious problems. It can easily create toxic work environments. There are a lot of consultants in this room. There are a lot of individuals in this room that probably at some stage of our lives, we've experienced a toxic work environment. It is extremely difficult and challenging to fix a toxic work environment, let me tell you this. But let's stop for a moment and think about this. These people that create toxic relationship in their toxic work environments were once a normal people, went to work enthusiastically, and they were engaged and they were happy. What happened that their relationships turned into toxic? So we're going to cover that very shortly. So if you find out that you're working in a toxic environment, or you're trying to fix a toxic environment as a consultant, one thing that from our experience, you really have to be careful, because it spreads really quickly and you can become part of them. So now that we're talking about tension, clashes, and toxic workplaces, it is important to understand the types of conflict. So day in, day out, this is what I do for a living. I deal with problems. I deal with conflicts. Okay. There are many different types of, we can crunch this into granular level, but there are two types that I would like to bring into attention of everyone. One type is the task conflict. The other one is the relationship conflict. Why is this important? So research shows that depending on the forms of conflict, either teams fail or succeeds. Sometimes you will find a lot of research, a lot of papers written about this, and a lot of scholars, they argue that the task conflict can be beneficial for group performance, decision-making quality, because it facilitates exchange of information among members. And however, it is really important that if task conflict is not managed really carefully, it is into relationship conflict, which we really want to stay away from that. So when we think about this, again, task conflict is constructive in nature. It helps organizations to create new ideas, solves continuous problems, provides an opportunity for people and teams to expand their skills, and fosters creativity. When opposing ideas are explored, a breakthrough thinking can occur. But again, we really need to handle this with care, with a lot of positive leadership, a lot of good leadership. Otherwise, things all of a sudden start crumbling. So let's take a look at, let's shift our focus into interpersonal conflict or relationship conflict. At work, this type of conflict contributes to numerous detrimental health and safety outcomes and issues that impact the well-being of employees and organizations. It is usually costly and leads to serious problems like high turnover, burnout, depression, and withdrawal from the workplace. Interpersonal conflict also impair other number of team behaviors, such as trust, transparency, accountability, interdependency, and learning that are essential for a good teamwork. So the previous research has identified that interpersonal conflict can be one of the largest reducible organizational costs and the single most important workplace stressor for organizations to address. So moving forward, what is the solution? What can organizations do? And there will be a lot of solutions offered throughout the day, similar to what I'm going to be sharing. But we can pick a cup of coffee and have further discussions. As a leader, know your people well. Learn more about their values, keep a close eye on their internal dynamics, try to understand how 3, 4, 5, 6, or more people relate to one another. And always ask this question: if creativity requires conflict, a lot of organizations enjoy this kind of conflict. They deliberately create this kind of conflict, especially sales teams. They've got a target, they're racing against the target. And so we've got to ask this question. We need to think about under what conditions of conflict is creativity likely to emerge. Set the rules of the engagement really well. Let everyone understand their personality and how they react to each other and situations. Let them more about their biases and blind spot, most importantly. Organize interventions, let people get to know more each other better on a human level, and let them discover their commonalities rather than their differences. This is what we are always used to focusing on, our differences. Let's build everything, our strength on our commonalities. Avoid judgments that create separation. And we create inclusive environments for our teams. No matter their personalities, everybody brings their genetic genius, something unique about them. People typically take on behavior patterns that are a norm to their environment. So even the environment can affect the behaviors in the workplace. So, and remember, managers can create norms that keep everyone focused on positive interactions and high performance. What I do day in, day out, and I deal with teams that having these sorts of problems. And what we do, we use psychometric tools and analyze the team dynamics, predict conflict before it happens, and we look at what are the areas that we can build high performance teams. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope you find it interesting, and I'm looking forward to listening to everybody else. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much for your insightful talk. I mostly was interested in how the values turned into the metaphor of currency, and this is what we deal with on our daily basis. So very interesting. All right. So we will go to our next speaker. An experienced and motivated professional in international roaming and interconnect business, customer experience, digital customer channels, transformation and management, being on various positions of telecom businesses and more than 10 years. She has achieved significant results roaming wholesales and retail areas in European and Asian market. And I hope I am pronouncing the name correctly, is Tizi Nozadzi, talking about opening gates for hidden potential and opportunities in the business area. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Ahlam. Thank you. You have pronounced my name very nicely. Greetings to all the participants here and those who will be listening to our recordings afterwards. So today I would like to share with you stories of my recent experience, how to make things happen, even those things that most of your team believes as impossible to achieve. And I was thinking, why these particular stories? Because they are real, they are live with happy end and even with a happier future. I'm the main actor of both, and simply we might have found ourselves in front of such cases quite often, when you have to set up, change, manage, achieve significant results in the shortest time period and keep the team happy. So one of them took place in a beautiful country of Nepal at the leading telecom company there. with the country and company of biggest potential in the international roaming business did not believe that their growth and presence in this area could triple in 6 months. Of course, in all cases and areas, the qualification and expertise is on top of all what we do, but I won't remind to us about this today. I'm sure that we all believe in that. So I started everything with the strategy and plan, and a few strategies, by the way, to have some backup plans, and with the top management belief and trust in my strategy. When I arrived in this country, I found myself in front of the challenge where I had to set up this strategy, form a team, and reach few juicy deals with partners worldwide. The next and very important was the self-belief and ambition in what I wanted to achieve. And actually, I believed 100% that I could do this. Another clue to making your plan happier is to form the team, motivated and capable of being together with you in the process. Generally, the most appealing part for myself has always been growing the team and people being around myself, seeing the outcome of my passion passed to them and the knowledge and energy that I always return back from them with brilliant ideas and some new findings from their side. So when the timeline is short and the expectation for the outcome is high with the stressful deadlines, the team has to be agile. And with the head and or the manager of the team, not only manages or directs the situation, but contributes into each big task accomplishment and works together with the team. Actually, this is how I did in this case during the 6-month period. And the wonderful moment comes, and in my case, in Nepal, it was in 3 months already, when the big result is accomplished and everyone sees the clear way how to proceed and the enjoyment to improve and continue forward. I always compare this process to finding the way out from the dusty road or any trouble somewhere hiking, when everyone has to support each other and don't leave each other alone. Work hard, rescue each other, and until we all find ourselves in a clear valley when we can enjoy our trip together. This is exactly how I have worked with my wonderful and professional team. And the most tasty flavor on top of all is that me taking over all those achievements and leaving them with big pride to this already experienced team, capable to continue my job even in a better way. I think we have time left, right? And I would also wish to tell you another story at the company where I currently work for, where I had to build up the customer experience process and service in an online gaming business. And why this case? Because there are the cases in our career where even our past experience won't give us the exact receipt how to act, and the moment comes when you have to create the path from the very beginning. And the most important part of the process is that there is no prior study and no clue what will work or what will not. It usually happens when we touch customer experience process, and my colleagues who have worked in this area would agree with me, I'm sure. And in here, one has to be ready to change, implement, focus, track, and be ready to move to strategy B or C, meaning to own backups for everything and every occasion. This was my process in here. And when it refers to customers in different countries and cultures, and in my situation, I had to deal with 2 different countries and customer experience process in those 2 countries, in Georgia and Armenia. We never know which process and attitude is the best one to choose. Therefore, we have to track and be ready to change. exactly the same path I have gone through at the company for almost 2 years, like planning, acting, tracking, changing, maintaining what is achieved, and growing. The most powerful part of the customer experience area is that it is always being improved and developed. It never stays at the same place. In the story, the crucial part is taken by my team and the people and the ability to follow me and the readiness for their minds and change. Unless the team believes in customer experience, the power of good service, nothing can be achieved by any of good leader or manager. And this is what I have worked on. Show quality of work to my team, require back the qualified work from them, and get back to each member with appreciation and with showing the achievements. And the juicy moment when it comes to the results. And tracking your achievement and result in this area is very complicated, especially when you have to convert customer experience achievements into precise monetary results and in a short run. Of course, there are lots of voice of customer parameters, KPIs, though on top of all, for me, is the internal customer experience analysis and competitor analysis. When you see that your team members don't forgive each other, the quality deterioration, and the competitors are following your path and trying to follow your achievements in the same way as you do and serve your customers. I believe these 2 points are the strongest indicators that you are on the right way for success. And within 2 years, we have achieved the changed internal attitude towards customer experience and service criteria and service level, and as well as the overall benchmark on the market in this area. So hope my stories could give you some inspiration and ideas how you can do even better in your further challenges. Thank you very much for your attention and for listening.
Thank you very, very much for sharing your story and your experience. All right, so our next speaker, he is a global citizen, credential professional certified coach by ICF, and a product of years of embracing different cultures, helping successful leaders from diverse backgrounds on walks of life to break patterns in daily life, to bring their best version to the world. Please join me in welcoming Suhail Pidari, speaking about trust building as a leader. Pidari, the screen is yours.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as you just said, and thank you so much for hosting this, fellow coaches and lovely ladies and gentlemen, the participants. Thanks for coming in and tuning in. Simply, I think I have the best start to this week choosing this topic, because what happened just in the, and I'm not going to go political on this, but what happened in the elections resonates with my topic, leadership and trust. Now, I'm not politically one side or another, but what I want to say is, how do we embrace trust? How do we inspire trust? Douglas Conant, I'm going to quote this, the former CEO of Campbell Soup Company. He was serving as CEO at the company until mid-2011. He said, the first thing for any leader is to inspire trust. Now, listening to Alan's wonderful presentation, together with Trivian and you other fellow coaches, I can only echo what they said, which is absolutely, absolutely essential for any business to succeed. And I'm quite a gambler, so I'll top it in, you know, I'll raise it with trust. And I'll put trust on the table, saying, not going around the room, because I don't do that on digital calls, saying how many people can raise their hands, but how many of us around this table or this room today trust others blindly? And how many of us have distrust? And how many are in where we want to sit as a leader in the middle, which is the smart trust? Now, the smart trust is a combination of judgments, right? It is our heart and mind working together in leadership to bring that smart trust into our business. I'm a product of mistrust and blind trust myself, years of blind trust and also distrust with other leaders, which I've learned to analyze. So experience makes you the man you are, the woman you are. And I always speak out of experience, saying that watching other leaders do what they should have done makes me understand what a great leader should do. Building trust in this moment, after whatever has happened and whatever is already still happening, one thing remains very important. And as a coach, I always work with successful leaders, bringing and inspiring trust into their teams, not, I repeat, not confusing it with delegation. A true leader is a person that truly brings trust into that organization and the daily life. I sincerely believe if you're not in practicing or inspiring trust, you can probably not call yourself a leader. It's maybe you're a manager or a director by most, because most successful managers or directors could delegate also. Yeah, delegation is an intellectual matter, ladies and gentlemen. It's not what we call a feel, right? It's not a feeling. It's just a matter of giving someone a matter to take care of and come back to you. Most leaders don't trust fully, and therefore they start micromanaging. We've seen so much micromanagement and so much disastrous scenarios in this couple of months where people have actually said it loud. We have to keep our people busy at home so we know what they're doing. Or people at home or companies who are not ready to have people work smartly or from home have all of a sudden come up with announcements saying, make sure people tune in daily or at least twice a week so we know what they're doing, so we can lead them, so we can, manage them. That's not trust. In the first place, if you're working with people in that way, why did you employ them, and why did you you should have trusted your gut feeling in employing those people in the first place. And if you didn't, then perhaps that was a very costly operation. Because when trust goes up, the speed and efficiency of work and production goes up, and it brings down the cost. Now imagine a company which is full of people who are trusting each other and smartly trusting each other. Because at the end of the day, you have a decision to make as a leader. And it cannot start with saying, I don't trust the guy, or I don't trust that lady because I don't like the way they look, or I don't like the way they react or the way they reply to me. That is emotions. It has to be set apart. You need to identify what the smart trust equation is. So it starts partially with your heart, which what you have gone through, right? Your own experience, your own upbringing, yeah, that people impacted you in your own life, how they trusted you or how they didn't trust you. Now, top it up with a natural gift, your education. Do you question why I'm not trusting that person, or why do I trust the person in front of me? When you put all of that together, the balance comes. And I also love what my fellow colleague Trivian said about the values, right? The values. I mean, trust is a value. If you don't have trust, what business are you running? Because the clients have to trust you. You have to trust your people, and they will trust the knowledge and instincts to get the business done. Another wise man said once upon a time, and I used to work for that company, that you take care of your people will take care of your business. Now, to a certain extent, I would like to say that the formula is easy. It's strategy times execution times trust, and that will bring you to results. So S times E times T equals R. And the amount of T that you bring into that equation will result in the amount of R you want to get out of it. It's as simple as that. Two areas, which is the final bit that any leader has to start working on. So people ask me, so how do I start trusting people? Well, you don't start trusting people because if you're on far ends of trust formula, which means either you're a suspicious person or You're a person who just blindly trusts people and says, to be a leader which sits in the middle, you need to start with yourself. You know, what is your own credibility? Build your own credibility. At this moment of time, I can tell you, leaders are suffering because the decisions which have been made organizationally, either on their behalf or they've been part of it. A lot of people have lost jobs. People have been sent home. Those are decisions which have been made for the, for the well-being of an organization financially, so that we could keep that organization alive. And it's not late. You can always say stop. We made bad decisions. So let us work on our own credibility. Are we credible enough in the market? Are people going to come and work for us? And the best people, are they going to come and work for me? Am I giving that image of trust to my people so that other people who have not been trusted by their organizations can walk into my doorway? I'll take care of them. Number one. Number two, inspire trust by behaving in a trust building way with others. So we can't just talk about trust. Trust this, trust that, and equation is good. We add a bit of R, we take a bit of E, we put a bit of S, we get a lot of R results. No. We have to inspire. We have to actually show that what we do, every day brings value, brings purpose. And we might take a wrong decision once in a while. We might not perhaps have the full trust in certain members, but not because we don't want to trust them. It's because the equation between the heart and mind is playing. I'll give a final example. I'm a sports guy, so I always refer back to my soccer or football time, which I even nowadays I practice as a coach. A coach on a sideline of a football team has 5 people on the bench that he can substitute, or she. If that person, if that coach uses the right equation of who should I trust to go in instead of the person who is inside to change the format of the game or bring the result that I want, makes or breaks. So if that coach puts everything they got into the heart and saying, well, you haven't played or she hasn't played for a while, I'm not sure. Or you say, well, she's been practicing harder, or he's been practicing harder than anyone else in the recent weeks. So I'm going to give her a try, or him. That's where the judgment comes in. So it was a short story. I always like, sports is a great stuff, and football is a great game to refer to when you get stuck with comparison in leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, try to find as a leader the balance, and you will find it through judgment. Try to balance between your mind and heart. Try to use the formula of strategy times execution times a big chunk of trust, smart trust. And you will see your results go higher. You will see your speed of recovery go faster. And you will see your costs drop, because you're not going to lose people, because every time you lose a person, we all know how painful that is in recruitment. And above all, that brings down one thing that you have in the market, that if you lose that, you will shut down your business, which is your reputation. And that is your credibility. That's all for me. Not sure how many minutes I have still. If there's any questions, Q&As, back to you, Ahlan.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach Fidari. All right. So we're going to go to our next, who is hailing from Europe. Paul has worked in the Middle East, India, and Asia in the past 30 years, helping US and European multinational companies looking to enter international regions. Paul works with senior leaders and first-line teams to achieve objectives and corporate direction specialized in change management and organizational development. Now, he's going to speak to us today about enhance your leadership skills, build teams, grow sales and profit, and let your business soar to the level that you never thought it is possible. Please join me in welcoming Paul Micallef.
Thank you, Ahlan, for the introduction. Running a company today must be most probably one of the most complicated jobs in the world. Okay, what are the three main killers of today's CEOs? As per a recent study here, there are number one, poor execution due to constant change in the environment and no time for strategy. This is very, very common, especially with the situation we're going through right now. Okay, lack of clear vision and alignment is number two. The third one is losing focus of the competition while trying to create some growth. Okay, I am Paul Mikhailov and I hail from Malta. For the last 31 years, I have lived and worked in the Middle East and Asia Pacific region, working with international US and European multinationals on business advisory and change management initiatives. Nowadays, I advise and work with regional companies and their senior teams on change initiatives and CEO peer advisory groups that I'll be talking about. I understand both failure and success, and I still believe in taking a giant step of faith. For most CEOs, when problems arise, you are practically the problem solver. The biggest question is, are you comfortable enough for help or for asking for help? Not everybody is, I can assure you. Even if you have the best idea in the world and a foolproof business plan, failure is still a big possibility, especially nowadays with what we're going through. And that's both scary and uncomfortable to come to terms with, especially for people who know nothing but success like MDs and CEOs. But I believe that life is largely about taking a total leap of faith. As a CEO, you have the power to change your world, and change is always better in teams. I can assure you that. Finding information on how other CEOs in different industries are coping and surviving with today's problems of running organizations is not an easy task. As a CEO, you cannot discuss your issues with your subordinates, since you are the CEO and you're supposed to know everything. Okay, even board members are unapproachable because they expect you as a CEO to come up with the solution. They don't want to hear about problems. So where do you go for help? Now, there is good news for this, okay, is that there is a safe and confidential place that you can go to for help and direction. And a lot of CEOs all over the world are doing that now. And they've been doing that for a long time. We gather a group of external CEOs from different industries once a month to help each other, share valuable experience, and offer one another solutions based on many years of their experiences. Can you imagine how powerful that is? This has been tried and tested. You don't need to spend months walking through trial and error ideas that may well result in dangerous and costly mistakes. We cannot afford to do that. Most CEOs today work in their business and not on their business. Firefighting daily issues with no time for strategy, no time for planning, no time for leading their teams in a strategic way. Now, these peer advisory meetings have proven to be very powerful, as they are like almost like having an independent board of director outside of your company. And they are there in the common goals of supporting, guiding, and advising with the primary goal of helping one another to succeed. Remember, this is a group of supporters that are outside of your company. Okay, so they're very sincere in their way that they give you advice, for example. These peer members will also become your first contact outside the monthly meeting if you are stuck or need to take a quick, important decision and you need a sounding board. Now, how does it work? Now, CEOs and MDs from all types of industries coming from non-competing companies and who are facing similar issues and problems as you do as a CEO, meet in a small group of around 12 participants in a highly confidential setting. Confidentiality is the number one here, and run by a professional US trained facilitator. Okay, they discuss issues with the aim of everyone walking out with ideas, tested plans, and clear sense of direction that you as a CEO probably will not be able to reach by yourself. Now, these CEOs will share what they have learned for so many years and what they have tried and implemented successfully. Okay, can you imagine getting all that information in one day? That's actually one half a day per month. Now, the greatest benefits comes from sharing of the experience of a group of highly motivated leaders whose aim is to learn and to help each other. They are all in the same boat, fighting the same fights every day. What are the benefits of joining such a group? These meetings allow multidimensional views that are not just within your industry, but also from outside of your industry. Active participation in these meetings also result in a diffusion of experiences that result in a broadened view that many have said has helped them to take decisive, difficult, and workable decisions. The advice you will receive will be unbiased, yet very inspiring, and will help you to grow and move to a level that most probably you would never thought possible on your own. Now, these monthly meetings run normally for just 4 hours once a month. The idea of spending 4 hours per month might seem like a big chunk of a day, but statistically, look at this. As per a recent Harvard University study, the average CEO works 270 hours in a month. So spending a morning with your peers while working on your company or on your business strategically will take just 1.5% of your monthly working hours. That is just 1.5% that you can make the difference between standing strong through a year like we had this year, 2020, growing steadily, or buckling at your knees. Okay, we all do a lot of training, a lot of seminars, but nothing is as powerful as sitting with a team of like-minded peers from diverse industries while sharing and finding solutions to some of your most difficult situations that you will ever face, most probably. And this is done in a very confidential environment. Now, the top 6 reasons, I'm not going to talk about top 6 reasons why a business owner or a CEO should join such a peer advisory group. First of all, it's a safe haven. Confidentiality, as I said, is number 1. And confidentiality allows each member to totally open about issues in a non-competing environment. Okay, because everybody's coming from a different, non-competing business. So it's very easy to talk freely. Diversity, reasoning through brainstorming, diverse options, and in-depth questions. Okay, which you need when you take big decisions. Real feedback and guidance. You get unfiltered feedback and get challenged all the time. You have to be prepared to get challenged. And that's how you learn and how you move forward. Accountability, the element of accountability can be underestimated in these cases. You will be kept accountable by your peers. Number 5 is discovery. You will discover information and approaches that you've never thought of before. It is like when you're in a dark room, the light goes on and you can start seeing more clearly. That's how it is when you're just sharing your problems with a group of same-minded people. And finally, explosive growth. The power of the CEO lies in the fresh insight you get from the peer group, which will also help you grow as a leader and as a person. And it is very funny that you will get to a point that you will not be able to survive without the sincere and powerful support that you will get from such a close-knit peer of personal advisors. Okay. Finally, an outline of a typical 4-hour meeting, which initially we are running it virtually for obvious reason nowadays. A typical meeting will comprise of 3 main sessions. The first session, it's a kickoff exercise where everybody sort of has something to say. Significant events that happened since the last meeting, where everybody has the chance to speak for a few minutes and bring the group to the present mode. The second session, it's a business overview. It is very, very important, and this is the most important part of the day, where everybody learns. A presentation done by the hosting member. There's always 1 hosting member per month. And the presentation is done on a critical issue. It could be a future 5-year plan. It could be a company takeover. It could be a diversification plan. Okay, any major issue that they want to throw to the team. As I mentioned, this is a cross-fertilization process. At its best, probably. And everyone is there to support the hosting member while everybody is learning from this exercise as well. Can you imagine the power of that? Now, the third and last session, normally it's an executive roundtable. All members share with one another their daily issues, challenges, opportunities, etc., with which they are and this will be followed by recommendations and powerful suggestions by the group. Okay, everyone has the chance in these meetings to put their greatest challenges on the table, troubleshoot them, vet ideas, and help identify each other's blind spots. We all have a lot of blind spots, okay? Especially when you're under pressure and when the change around you is changing in a way that you cannot control it. People walk away with thorough advice and recommendations we can immediately act upon, okay? Now, just to finish it off, we are planning our UAE and Saudi Arabia peer advisory group to start with at the start of this year. And demand for this is very promising already. We limit each group to around 12 members. So it is highly recommended that one makes contact with us as soon as possible to secure a slot in the upcoming groups. I do hope to have the opportunity later on to discuss this amazing leadership and development and growth initiative that we're bringing to the Gulf, and to have a one-to-one phone call shortly. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, for this very interesting concept. All right, our next speaker is with over 22 years of international experience developing leadership, sales, and communication skills. He was independently validated in the top 1% of the facilitators worldwide for delivering learning effectiveness. He has presented to 41,000 plus participants, including 9.5 thousand sales professionals. He's going to speak to us. How can you challenge effectively during these times to increase bottom line results? Graham Moore, the screen is yours. You're on mute.
Not being heard. Now I am. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Boy, the bar has been set high, hasn't it, in this session so far? So there's a big challenge for me. Here's an overview of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the way I operate, the things that are behind what I present. I want to give you some specific examples of what's been achieved in doing this. We sometimes call these case studies, but I'm not going to get so grand as to call them case studies. And I'm also going to give some real tips that you can use from this session from now. So they're challenging times that we're in now. So were they challenging last year? Were they challenging the year before? No, it was easy. We're always in some form of challenging times. It's just that now we call it the pandemic or whatever. And I'm going to reflect a couple of things which are about what's happening now, about what's happened before this. Leadership is everyone's business. Let's get that clear. And I'm saying that because I'm involved with the Leadership Challenge. Some of you may know the Leadership Challenge. I'm a certified master. The Leadership Challenge has been around for over 35 years. So a lot of what I talk about comes from all the work and the research that's been done through the Leadership Challenge. Here's one statistic that I'm going to share with you. 96% of people say they perform at their best when they are challenged. Now, it's the way we challenge them that's important. This is not about holding the foot to the fire, as we might say. This is not about being directive. This is about the challenge and the best possible way that you can do it. But remember that people really perform well when they are challenged. Now, in doing this, we have, as part of the basis for the Leadership Challenge, a couple of things that are really important. One is leadership is a relationship. We've got to remember that at all levels, it's a relationship. Leadership is also everyone's business. Everyone's business. Now let's drill that down a little bit further and talk about how we can get some great results. Clearly, the leader needs to live his or her values, live the values all the time, articulate the values, and develop a shared or aligned process with the values. Last year, I was having a conversation with a CHRO in Muscat. We talked about his values, and I said, well, tell me what your values are. And he said, oh, he listed a couple, and he said, teamwork. Okay, great. And then I said, a little bit later, I said, can you tell me how you would describe your leadership style? Oh, very directive. Now, think about this. I think there's a little disconnect here. Teamwork and very directive leadership. In his case, I think that team or teamwork stands for together, everyone agrees with me. But at least he's honest, and that's really, really important. We need to build trust. By the way, here's a really good, quick way to build trust with the people you're leading. DWYSYWD. Do what you say you will do. Not occasionally, but every time, do what you say you will do. It's one of the quickest ways to build trust with your people. So let me now talk about a part of this, which is challenge the process. It's the third practice of the 5 practices of the Leadership Challenge. I want to give you a specific example of a gentleman I was working with a couple of years ago now. And I showed him the process that I felt was really important for him. He runs a company which, as he says, well, they produce highly consumable products, right? We all use them. And I went back to him after a period of time and said, so how have you gone with this? And he said, Graham, I want to tell you that in the last 12 months, we've made an extra $2 million profit because of what we did. You watch, tell me how you did it. Are you sure? Yes, he said. Okay. So he explained what he did. Now, I don't show people how to run their production lines. That's not what I do. I'm not a management consultant, but I show leaders how to get the best out of the people they're leading. So in this case, he challenged the process or followed that through with his team. I said, give me a specific example of what you did. And he said, well, one of the first things that we did was we were able to reduce the shift changeover time every day from 2 hours to 1 hour. Okay, how many people in the shift? 30 people a day. That's 30 hours. Work with me here, guys. 5 days a week, that's an extra 150 hours of productivity at no extra cost. Great. There were other things that he did, and he then showed me the figures and said, it cost us this amount to manufacture the product. This is what we sell it for. This is how many we made in a 12-month period. $2 million. I said, they're not sitting in a warehouse somewhere. No, we've sold them. Profit. But here's the other aspect of this. He's responsible for a total of 9 production lines around the Middle East. So he's going to cascade what I showed him through to the other parts of the organisation. Now, here's another one. A woman who is an HR manager in Jeddah, in Saudi. And she said, Graham, she was the HR manager, as I said. She said the HR department is regarded as the butt of the organisation. That's not but have we got to talk to HR? No, it's the B-U-T-T, right? It's not a very nice description. We're not regarded well. I said, do you want to change that? Of course. She said, yes, I do. Okay. Said, you give me 3 hours and I will give you 3 hours. And in the next 3 months, we'll change that. Is that okay? She said, sure. So we worked through a process, which I'll articulate a little bit in more detail later. We'd finished this. She was really pleased. And then she said, a month after that, we had the engagement survey. She sent me the result of her department. She said, we've just scored 9.5 for engagement. That's out of 10, not 100. 9.5. My response was, room for improvement. Of course, she was delighted with this. In a discussion later on, she said, there are other departments which are performing really poorly in their engagement survey. One of the senior people, very senior, running a department, got a very low score, and he said, well, it's their fault. I've told you to get rid of change my staff. It's their fault that I'm scoring so low. What you do as a leader brings out the best in the people you lead. This is critical. Leadership is a relationship. Don't blame the people you're working for. You change them by your leadership style. So she then said to me, how can we make this process work for other departments? Leave them for now. Which department has a department head who is more closely aligned to your thinking and your behaviours? And she said, oh, that would be Safe. He's doing, okay, great. What I want you to do is to talk to Safe about what I have shown you. When everybody else in Safe's department loves what they're doing and wants to get great results, then we move it to the other departments. Oh. So what are we doing here? We're creating a team of choice. Team of choice. And here's the process, quite simply. There's a little bit more to it than this, but here's the steps. Gather the team together and say, guys, how would you like it if you were working in a team of choice? Oh, what's a team of choice? Well, what do you think it might be? Oh, well, we would choose to be there. That's a starting point. What else? We would love doing, yeah, that's right. What else? We will be productive. Yeah, really good. So you get the team to define what the team of choice would look like. And you say, what are the benefits to you in working in that team? Oh, I'll love doing it. I'll be, okay, great. What else? Get them to define the benefits. Then you set out a 3-month plan and say, what can we do each month? Here, here, here. What can we do? And then you work through each month. Everybody sees the benefits to them and they'll make the behavior changes and they'll get excited about working in a team of choice where they're highly productive. I'm seeing by my clock that the time is running out. Please remember this. What you do as a leader brings out the best in the people you lead. It's your choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Graham. Very interesting tips. So a team of choice, I'll remember that. All right, last but not least, the speaker who will set us to fly. He is a business consultant, trainer, writer, bringing to the table over 20 years of expertise from cross-section of industries, having witnessed and experienced both failure and success in short and crystal to change the, in short, a crystal, no, I think I'm reading it wrongly, but anyway, it's for change and transformation. Here we have Hussein. He will speak to us how to fix your feathers from an organization to lift itself up and fly. It has to fix 3 specific things in an enterprise: people, process, and policies. Hussein, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Ahlam. Fantastic listening to all of your people. Amazing learning and observations, whatnot. So last week, one of my clients approached me and then he asked me, Hussein, can you save 1 additional hours for me daily? And then a couple of weeks back, there was another business leader who said, Hussein, I have been running my business for last 6 years, but my customers are not happy. I can't face my investors, my shareholders, I've not done justice upon them. And I know for sure my team is not happy and we are all over the place. So don't you think, ladies and gentlemen, every time we sit with the business owners, the entrepreneurs, and so-called leaders who actually don't like to introduce themselves as CEOs for whatever reasons it may be. So they keep saying either they don't have time, they are stressed out, and then sometimes they ask, I don't understand why I'm running this business. I mean, this is something that every time we talk to people, we hear. On the other hand, we generally hear there is this Fortune 100 companies around the world, Fortune 500 companies, but we never get to hear Fortune 5 million companies or Fortune 1 million companies. So which means, ladies and gentlemen, there must be something fundamentally wrong in the way how these business people have gone about run their businesses. So I ask 2 specific questions from these people. In any business, there are 2 specific interests we need to uphold and live up to. One, from the one side, we have investors or shareholders, we call it. So we got to live up to their shareholder interest in terms of return on capital or in terms of profitability, in terms of, let's say, capital gain and so on and so forth. So that's from one side. On the other hand, of course, we have a bunch of customers, so we got to meet up to their interest as well. So it may be time of delivery, the quality of service, the price, whatever the reasons it may be. So you have a bunch of customers. So these 2 interests are fairly converged. So it's very difficult for you to meet up with these 2 interests simultaneously, unless and until you fix your feathers. Now, what are your feathers from a business perspective, ladies and gentlemen? So in my study and experience, I consider the middle part, that is your business infrastructure, to be your feathers. More precisely, the people, the process, and your policy parameters. Now, let me just show you this for a second. Let me share this screen. I believe you guys see my screen now.
Yes.
Yes. So, like I said, many a times, business people, under the disguise of running a business, they're actually not running business. They're just being busy. So, which I call it as busyness, not business. Now, what make them busy, right? The middle part of it, the infrastructure. One, P is about people, but they don't have the right people. Number two, either they have process or they don't have the right process, or they have a bulky process that itself become an impediment for your growth and for their flight. So which I call it as slim process or slim and robust process. That's what we do. And then, of course, for any organization, there has to be a robust and fit policy mechanism. So that's what I meant when I say it's people, process, and policy. So it's right people, slim process, and fit policy. So any organization can fix these three capital P's, I believe this particular business infrastructure can help on one side improving shareholder interest, and on the other hand, improving the customer interest. Many a times you talk to some of these entrepreneurs, not only they have invested money, ladies and gentlemen, they also work for their businesses, which means they got to benefit from two different angles. One, because of the fact they have invested money, so they got to get a return on that. On the other hand, they are virtually investing their time, their effort, their skill set, and so on and so forth. So they got to be rewarded by way of a salary or any other monetary benefit. So, and these guys have messed it up both together. And similarly, the customer interest as well. So let me now refer one or two examples as to how I have managed to, help organization transform themselves, and evolve from just being business to properly run a business, and then they grow. Now, a couple of weeks ago, like I said, I have been working with a particular organization, which is of 12 members, just 12 members, out of which 3 of them are sales staff. Now, they told me, Hussein, from the time we generate a lead, sometimes for us to complete the particular transaction, our team takes about 55 days. Sometimes it even runs to 60 days or even more than 2 months. How do we fix this issue? Now, if you put that into this particular model, ladies and gentlemen, so he basically is talking about there is a problem in the order processing. So there is a process issue, of course, the people issue also, because at the end of the day, whatever the process that you may have, at the end of the day, it's the people who are going to live up to those process. So definitely there's a process issue, and also definitely there is a policy mechanism issue as well. So we basically utilize this particular tool and we fixed it. And then now the entire process cycle, that is the order processing cycle, being brought down to 21 days, and it's being linked to the entire team by way of KPI parameters as well. So how did I do that? Essentially, we looked at the existing process mapping, we remapped them, we removed the clutters, and then we brought about a sense of slim yet a robust mechanism there. And then what do I mean by right people, ladies and gentlemen? Now, every time for the last 2 weeks, I had a meeting with this team. More than the solutions coming from this particular team, I get to hear the problems alone. And one of the key words that comes out is an excuse. Okay, the client didn't do this. We didn't get a response. So I basically put 2 specific policies into the ground. I said, from now onwards, every time we talk, either we talk in first party or second party. We don't talk in third party. So which means we don't go about, you don't get to tell me that so and so didn't do. I will only tell you didn't make that additional effort. You didn't go that extra mile to get it done. So a policy mechanism was brought in. We say either first party conversation or second party conversation. We don't talk in the third person. So now there is a cultural shift. Before they come and talk about anything, they go that extra mile, the second mile, the third mile, whatever the mile it may be needed, they find the solution, come and sit on the table. The second one is that when we are at a table, they just don't talk from the heart. I encouraged by another policy mechanism. I said from now onwards, we introduce what is called a candor policy mechanism, candor policy. where we speak from the heart. Sometimes what you say maybe directly might hurt emotionally another member, but everybody speaks from the heart. We don't get to go out of the team and then say, no, 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 I didn't want to say that because the so and so was seated. So we brought another policy mechanism. When you're there in the team, what you say, what you get, right? So we are now changing people's the behavior and the mindset and the culture and the behavior and so on and so forth, in terms of aligning what they get to communicate in a given environment. uh, and also, ladies and gentlemen, this the people aspect and the policy, of course, it will go hand in hand. It will absolutely go hand in hand. So what we did when we improved this policy, rather the process improvement to a 21 days, so we structured a reward mechanism exclusively for achieving that as part of our KPI. So the last 2 weeks, I got a video testimonial from my client, how it just took 2 weeks. The organization has been for the last 6 years. Now you could imagine how a change can happen just in 2 weeks when the practice has been for so many years, right? But there are two things that I want to leave behind. Change begins when the people started to visualize and see the tangible benefits of the change just in front of them. As leaders, as transformative individuals, if we can bring about and show them the tangible benefits, because imaginary benefits, people is not going to act. People are not going to, because those are the gone other days. So we got to bring and show them, look, guys, let's go about, let's, remove this, the impediment that we ourselves have brought into this process. And also, I just want to highlight here, and I basically explain to them the definition for right people. I told them, look, if you guys are going to expect me to come and daily motivate you, you are not fitting into the right people. Don't expect me or A or B or your boss to come and motivate you. Find your own motivation, self-motivation, self-inspiration, right? For me, the right person will never want to get motivated by other people. He will find his own way to get himself motivated, right? Second thing is, if you come in a meeting and talk about more than 3 excuses in a given meeting, you will fail in your KPI. And then again, you are failing yourself in the right people definition. So like that, we set certain things and up the standards. At every level, we up the standards. Now these people are enjoying it. I told them, do you want to look at A and B and say, wow, he's a fantastic guy. I really like to be, him. Instead of you go about do that, why don't you get some fans behind you? It's all about, as organization, as individuals, you develop fan for yourself instead of looking about imagining and kind of going behind all these fans there, and then they are so much into this and they are so much into this. Why don't you become that? Why don't you start getting fan following for you, individual level as well as an organization? Now the vibes have changed. I don't know my time limits.
Yes, I
Yes,
think
Alam.
it's already above the time limit, and we're already 5 minutes beyond that.
Yeah,
However,
sorry about it, but that's in a nutshell what I do. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
thank you very much, Hussein, and thank you for all the speakers and all the participants. Thank you and shukran for joining us today. I hope that was very beneficial for you and it would give you a fantastic week ahead. We look forward to seeing you on our next, a third Executive Talks is going to be on 9th of December. You will receive an email about it. Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone for joining.
Pleasure.
Thank
Take care. Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ahlan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.